Good morning again, race fans. Once again from Lake Guntersville in Guntersville, Alabama. It is the 2025 Lake Guntersville Hydrofest and the race for the Southern Cup. My name is Brad Luce, along with Tanner Faust. We're ready to go racing here on the final day of the weekend for the Southern Cup. We didn't get much racing in yesterday, unfortunately. Our first heat got cut short with a rather spectacular accident involving the Miss Apollo and Dave Villwalk. We didn't even get a first lap in the books. Then Mother Nature brought some weather along and decided we were done for the day. But it means we're going to be mighty busy here in day 3.
Yeah, a little bit of wind picking up today. What's the maximum wind we can run with the H1?
Well, it kind of varies. There really isn't a solid number. They're going to look at how it affects the water. But you start getting above 15 miles per hour and it gets tough.
All right, well, the sun is out, so we're hoping for a full day today for sure. We got 3 heats to do and a final.
We're also hoping that we stay dry, and the forecast is we might actually do that. So that's the good news. Stay with us. We're going to have a lot of racing. But right now, let's throw it down to our other members of our broadcast team. That would be Brent Hall and Erica Allreed.
Thanks so much, Brad. And as you mentioned, although there was less than a lap completed, it was shaping up to be an incredible race. They were deck to deck, and I have no doubt we'll witness the same exciting action here today, Brent.
Yeah, it's going to be amazing. And number one, we're glad Dave's okay. Brandon and the team, they're going to be working on getting Miss Madison ready. But this is about the young guns today. And so I know we're not weather reporters, but we're praying to the weather gods. Boy, we just want this to come through so we can see some amazing action.
And I have no doubt we will, weather permitting. And let's see who strikes first here in Guntersville.
H1 Unlimited Hydroplanes.
The world's fastest race boats.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Wow, really flying the boat. It doesn't get any better than that. They are going to be side by side. This is for the checkered flag. Hello, race fans, and welcome back to a very windy and blustery Lake Guntersville here in Guntersville, Alabama. My name is Brad Luce. I've got with me on the stage here Erica Allreed, Tanner Faust, and on my left here I got Brent Hall. I said in the intro, and I think we all just saw it there, that we were expecting a very, very busy day of racing. Unfortunately, it hasn't yet happened. It still possibly could, but Mother Nature, as we mentioned, had kind of thrown a wrench in that. And since we got here this morning, the wind's been blowing, and I know our fans are aware of it, but that's kind of been the story of the day.
It has been. I mean, the last measurements we saw were between 8 and 13 miles an hour. But as you said in the intro, it's really more about the direction it's coming from, and I'm learning it's a little bit more about the white cap. So if the wind did clock around from behind us, which would be from the west, then it would knock some of those white caps down and we could run. Right now it actually feels perfect, but there's been white caps all afternoon, and hopefully that lightens up.
We start talking about wind and how it affects the racing. You're the guy that's actually sat behind the wheel of one of these boats. Talk about that a little bit. If it's really rough like that with the white caps, how do you handle that canard wing in the air underneath and above the boat?
Yeah, it's an interesting balance because you really don't want to pound the boat into the water, so you can't put too much wing into it, but you also have to put enough in to not go over. So again, it's all about finding that balance and flowing over the waves, but just not pounding it too much.
So we're understanding that the wind on the other side, you're talking about the direction of the wind, we're being told the wind on the other side, there's nothing over there, and the teams in the pit area are calling us up over here going, let's go.
They're
it's
ready.
Great.
Yeah, they're ready and itching to go, for sure.
Yeah, we've got 4-year-olds out here trying to surf a little bit, and the waves coming in, and on the other side it's absolute glass. So yeah, it's kind of an interesting situation where we're sitting over here on the south side, and on the north side the pit's completely on the other side of the water, so
yeah.
2 different conditions. But certainly even the boats that we've had out on the water, we've already had some incidents, so it's definitely a little treacherous out in the middle of the lake.
Now, we've been told we're going to have the water, or we can have the water, until 7 o'clock this evening. So I mentioned at the onset here that there still is a chance we can go racing. Erica, I know everybody wants to go. They're all dialed in. They came down here to race. They want to get out on the water.
Oh, even us. We can hardly wait for the action. We've been sitting here just crossing our fingers. We want to see boats out on the water, and yes, we've already seen a few instances, so that's why they're taking the necessary precautions right now, but man, I hope we see some boats out there soon.
So you're saying there's a chance.
There is.
Okay. We're just making sure. Yeah.
Well, so that's what's been going on, or maybe better put, not going on out on the water. But that's not to say there hasn't been a lot going on here at the Lake Guntersville Hydrofest. If you have been here before, and I know many of our fans watching online have, there is more than just the boat racing. And when you go to one of these events, it is a community festival. And that's what's been going on out here behind us. The kids are having fun. There's lots of things for the kids to do. There's lots of merchandise tents. There's, as you're looking on the screen here, there's the Fan Fest going on here. What we're looking at here on the screen is what went on at the Thursday night street party, which was in a park, but it was still a lot of fun. And it was an opportunity to our fans to interact with our drivers and our crews and see the boats. There's just a lot happening here at the Lake Guntersville Hydrofest.
I mean, it's my first time here in Guntersville, and it's but the community is so behind this event. It's incredible. You just look at these images of the drivers interacting with the fans, and the fans getting to come up and get right underneath the boat, literally see exactly what these machines are about, autograph sessions, and then at the actual venue with vendors and food court and everything. It really is a great community event, and people come out rain or shine.
Yep. Boy, the connection year after year too. You know, when you see the same fans over and over again, and they tell you the stories of how many times they've come, and then I remember you from the last time, it's a big deal. It really is.
And you're looking at the screen there, watching driver J. Michael Kelly right there signing autographs of a young fan, and that's what it's all about. And it's one of the best parts of H1 Unlimited Racing is the people within the sport are so approachable. And I know you've been on the receiving end of that with people coming up to you. It's a big deal. It's fun.
It is. It really is. And again, like I said, just a fan, if you get a chance to make a magic moment as a driver, that's what you really want to do, and then they just keep coming back more and more. And as you can see in the screen, that's what's happening right there.
It's really, really good stuff. And now I'm going to speak a little bit from a personal example here. But these little kids that you see in here getting these autographs, yeah, that was me a long, long, long time ago.
I still see it.
And I still have those cards.
Little kid, yeah.
I still have those cards. And now what we're looking at here is the driver signing autographs at the autograph session. And I know you guys all had an opportunity to step out there and take a look at what was going on here. But it's just another example of our fans being able to interact with the participants.
And unfortunately, I think that's the most action they've seen today. So thankfully we had that autograph session. But yes, year after year, talking with the same fans, as you mentioned, Brent, a lot of them coming up to us and saying they travel to every single event. It is truly spectacular.
Well, eventually, we hope, fingers are still crossed, we're going to get our boats out on the water. And when we do, and when I'm talking boats, I'm talking about the H1 Unlimited hydroplanes. We're going to get them on the water at the 2025 Hydrofest, but it is the race for the Southern Cup. And that's that big trophy that's over your right shoulder over there. And it's a good piece of hardware. There it is there on the screen. And that is a very prestigious trophy. They initiated the Southern Cup in 2018. Everybody wants to get their hands around that one, and it'll be, if we can run this thing, and we're still really crossing our fingers, it's a big deal to claim that piece of hardware.
You bet it is.
Now, there's other racing series going on here today, right? I mean, we've seen some boats on the water. It hasn't just been completely empty, and there's been some offshore boats that have been cruising around. So this should be easy conditions for them. They're used to hitting 8-foot swells, right?
Should be.
You would think.
Yeah.
You would think.
Race on the ocean.
And, and there are those boats there, and part of what Katie Norton, the event organizer, tried to do this year, part of the, as we see, what you said it would have been maybe a little easier, but you saw what happened when we put the tunnel boats out on the water in the Whitecaps earlier, and that only didn't happen once. Unfortunately, it happened twice. Both drivers are okay. Katie Norton wanted to bring in these other classes of race boats because she wanted nonstop activity on the water. It is a show, it is a festival, but they wanted to have action on the water, and that's why it's so disappointing with this wind.
Yeah, well, I am not proud of this, but all 3 days now that I have been at an event, a boat has ended up upside down, and I don't, I've heard that entire seasons go by without having a blowover. And,
Yes.
it's just exciting, and I feel terrible for the teams, and I'm so glad all the safety has progressed over the years to the point where all 3 of these drivers are just walking away, just worried about getting their boat back going again.
Yep.
But yeah, hopefully that streak ends here pretty soon.
Yeah.
But you're a racer and you're a driver, and I want to drill on that just for a second. You're anxious to get back out, and I know the first question is always, how are you as a driver? But the next question is, how's the boat? How's the car? How's the airplane? You guys always want to get back and find out how the vehicle is.
Well, and can we just start it and get back out on the track?
Right.
That's the thing. Well, it's missing 3 tires. Well, I mean, seems like it still runs.
No reset button on this one, huh?
Yeah. But there's, if you head over to the pits, I mean, there's everything from duct tape to carbon being laid, fiberglass being laid. I mean, there's a lot of work being done on these boats to get them right back out again. And everybody knows that we have the lake for an extra 2 hours now this evening. So everybody's hopeful that we're going to be finishing all the racing we came here to do.
We refer to duct tape in this sport as the 200-mile-an-hour tape. I'm sure they do and other things. Erica, you've been over in the pit area talking to drivers and crews and teams all weekend. I know they're chomping at the bit.
Oh, absolutely, to say the least. They are so anxious to get back out on the water, and I talked to Jamie Nielsen, and he's one of the most anxious with that brilliant start and less than a lap completed. But, yeah, they are all chomping at the bit.
So that was what we were able to do today. It took them 3 tries, but the Super Sports, they were able to go out the tunnel boats and put some racing on and get their heat in. I saw a trophy presentation a little bit ago. So that's good news. We haven't had near the racing we had hoped for. But that doesn't mean that there's still not a lot of classes and boats that are here. And as we were just talking about, Katie wanted to fill up the schedule. There's teams here that have come from an awful long way. And on some level, I mean, we've got boats here in the unlimited class from the Pacific Northwest, where you and I hail from, and we know those teams from there. We've got the new boat here from Madison, Indiana. But that doesn't begin to even cover a bit of the spectrum here. We've got people coming from as far away as New Zealand, Waverly, New Zealand to be exact. We got some dairy farmers here this weekend, and I know you know something about those guys.
The Lupton brothers are amazing. I'm not going to steal any of their thunder, but yeah, we got a chance to talk to them, and it was a lot of fun.
Well, Andrew Tate got to spend some time down in New Zealand. He spent a month down there on two-week trips and spent time with these guys. They are amazing people to begin with, but they're just very dedicated racers, and those 2 boats, the GP33 or the GP577, you draw one of those guys, you better be ready to go.
Yeah, it was an honor to spend some time with them. They're some of the fastest in the business, and you're seeing it on the screen. They can move.
They can move. So I know you had an opportunity to catch up with them.
I did, yes,
and
I did.
I think we're going to queue up an interview that you had with them, and I know we haven't heard it. I'm anxious to hear how this interview went. So let's hear from the Lupton brothers via Brent Hall.
Hey, I'm here with the Lupton brothers. You don't bring one without the other. I got Ken right over here and Jack right here. Ken, you had one hell of a heat, man. We were watching and calling it. You started out fast and left the field. How'd that feel?
Yeah, it's good. It's good to come over here in our first round. No, we've got a pretty fast boat. The boys have worked really hard. I've only just flown in on Thursday, so all the boys have been over here for a week or 2 or a month or so getting everything ready. So it's a pretty cool feeling to jump in the boat and slam down a pretty fast time, and qualify first and then win the heat one. Can't ask much more than that, so pretty ecstatic and really, really proud of the boys getting it ready.
Yeah, no, way to give credit to your crew, and boy, yeah, it looked like a solid heat and really something to be proud of. Jack, I know we're going to talk to you too. Talk us through what happened with your ride.
Yeah, so had a brand new engine program we put together, and unfortunately had a failure in there. Everything was looking really good. The fuel was good. Oil pressure was really good. And yeah, something's let go, unfortunately. So it put us a little bit on the back foot. We didn't get any points for the hot lap. And I think we were in for a pretty decent hot lap too. And yesterday we put another new engine in. Everything was going really well, but we're just being patient with Jeff. And our plan was to finish the race. But unfortunately our fuel line came off. And yeah, it's come to a stop. So yeah.
So how much trash talking goes on between the two of you? I'm kind of curious. Jack, for some reason I think you might be trash talker number one. Let me hear from you. What happened?
I definitely win that side of it. You know, even this weekend we're walking around the trailer and he's trying to take my propellers, and I'm thinking, hey, this is not okay. And yeah, the banter starts, and it'll certainly end probably very late tonight as well, somewhere we shouldn't be. So,
no, I know y'all know how to have fun. Maybe talk to us about your side. What happens with you?
Yeah, well, obviously it's a big team effort, but when we get on the water, both of us want to win, so it becomes quite an issue. You know, we get out there and we have a fairly good crack at it, and once we get out of the boat, you know, one of us cut each other off. There's a few words, and then we usually sort it out in the bar later on. But
okay, nothing wrong with that.
We don't mind. We try and race hard and work hard, and then we really try and enjoy ourselves even harder, if you know what I mean. So we're all about the social sort of things. We've got to have fun as well. You know, if we're not having fun, we won't do it anymore. You know, if we're not enjoying it, you know, we might as well stay home and try and do some work. Yeah. And you know, it's always busy at home, and well, obviously both of us got families, so. It takes a big effort to come over here and race these things, so if it's not enjoyable, I think that's the day we'll stop doing it.
So you were saying work. Talk to us about that. I know you live in New Zealand, but there's quite a lot that brings you to boat racing and funds it too. So talk us through that.
Yeah, obviously we got we milk cows, so we've got a few dairy cows there, and do a bit of milking cows, and we do a lot of rearing calves and cattle and sell them, and do a bit of digger stuff. We're sort of all in-house, so we do everything, and then Jack looks after. We've got a trucking company as well, which Jack sort of runs. So, yeah, I do the farming, and he does the trucking pretty much. So, yeah, it keeps us really busy. We've got quite a lot of staff there, and good staff too. You know, we're pretty lucky to have those guys. Without those guys, we wouldn't be able to be here, and we're thankful to have them. And like I say, everything's got to keep rolling. The dairy farmers are 7 days a week, you know, every day, so they don't stop. So we've got to have good people at home, and we're pretty fortunate enough to have that, so it makes us easier to come over here and race boats.
Okay, so let's finish off with just family. Talk us through what the whole family side of this as well.
Yeah, obviously Dad, he started racing a long time ago, and he originally was going to buy we got a lake at home. He was going to go buy a boat for us to water ski and you know, do all that sort of thing, but it was an ex-race boat, so he ended up going to a race. Someone convinced him to go boat racing, and our family's always been involved in horse racing, so here we are. Got his 2 boys out there doing it, and he's still doing it, and it's a big family effort. You know, when we're in New Zealand, we take up to 30 people away with us. You know, we've got three GPs down under there, and yeah, hey, we wouldn't change it for the world. And our family, we're very you know, we're very fortunate to do what we do, but we really like to support H1, you know, HRL, you know, the sport. It needs numbers, and you know, we're really happy to be part of it.
Doing it well. I'm here with the Lupton brothers, and we are out. I'm going to hang out with these guys. That's it.
First of all, Mr. Brent Hall, I want to say that was an excellent interview. Great job on talking with those guys, and clearly they love boat racing. They're busy down under and finding time to come up here. They're a great addition to HRL and Grand Prix racing and hydroplane racing across the board.
100%. Yeah, really enjoyed my time with the Luptons, and I think we'll have more time with them, I'm sure. They'll be up at the front a lot.
You can pick up some of that accent.
No, I'm not doing it.
Or just finish singing that song, doing it
well. Okay, you caught that. Good job. Good job.
No, that was really good. Well done. So if we're talking about what happened over the weekend and talk about what happened today, we talked about GPs, we talked about the tunnel boats and so forth, but the big incident of the day with the headliner class, the H1 Unlimited hydroplanes, the fastest race boats in the world, we finally got the boats on the water. They were on schedule. We were all ready to go, and it was spectacular. It just didn't last very long. We did have quite an incident. I know we're going to roll the tape on it here, and I'd kind of like to get everybody's feeling on what they saw. Especially I want to hear from you, Tanner, because we were standing here side by side and watched what you're seeing on your screen.
I mean,
that was your first run down the front chute, and that's what happened.
It you know, it looked like Dave got a little bit behind on the start. He had the inside lane. He got stuck in that tunnel between the buoys and that wall of water, and then maybe hit some sort of a ripple, pulled the skid fin out, and just launched through 2 walls of wake. Unfortunately for Corey, hit him with 160 miles an hour of water, tore off the canard, tore off the mirrors, damaged the engine a little bit of Corey's machine and possibly ruined his weekend. But the good news, of course, that Dave is fine and immediately was trying to figure out how to find parts to get that boat working again.
And again, that's back to you guys' races. Yeah, I'm fine. Let's go find out how the vehicle is and how much work have we got ahead of us. Your reaction to what you saw, Brent, you've been behind the wheel of these boats. You've been in incidents, probably not as spectacular as that one, but you've had incidents. What's the feeling there?
Yeah, and actually I'm going to talk one other thing, and it's about the drone footage, and that really spoke a different story. You could see the rollers coming through the corner, and they all of a sudden just came out in lane one, and as Dave was hauling the mail, and just like we were talking about, he was a little bit behind, but he was coming hard, and then he hit those rollers, and then it just took off. So I think as a driver, it's hard to see that that's coming, but when you're looking at it from the drone footage, and Axel did an amazing job. Those drones go 93 miles an hour, and he turned around to catch Dave coming down, but boy, I was just blown away with how fast that all happens. And as a driver, that's what you have to react to, and sometimes there isn't a chance to react.
The slow motion shots there that we just shot, that was basically the view, Tanner, that you and I had here, was watching them come off the exit pin of that corner up there. And I was liking it this morning, talking with people about it. It's kind of akin to being in the left lane on the freeway, and without looking to the right, just make a hard right-hand turn and cross 4 lanes of traffic and just see how well that works for you.
Yeah, if you look in this shot now, you see the canard on the front of the white boat here on Corey's boat. Hits this thick chunk of water at just over 160 miles an hour, and the canard is gone.
Oof.
And unfortunately, that damage, you see that hole in the left front of that sponson is something that they can't fix. And so they'll be running without a canard for the rest of the weekend. The secondary spar behind that canard does have some active aero movement on that particular boat. But he's planning on just staying safe and staying behind the crowd for the rest of the weekend.
Erica, your thoughts on this? You've been around boat racing for a few years now, and you've gotten to know these guys. What went through your mind when you saw that?
Well, Brent was with me when I saw that, and I was just praying that Dave was okay first and foremost. That was out of a movie, that scene there, as we see him launching through the rooster tail. But I had the opportunity to go to the pits and chat with him. And first and foremost, I asked him if he was okay, and he kind of chuckled and said, "I'm fine." But as we alluded to earlier, he was more concerned about the boat. But yeah, he attributed that instance and that mishap to those rollers that were coming out of the middle there, and him on the inside lane. At that point, when he hit them, he was along for the ride. And it's kind of that thing where you're flirting with the edge of disaster and brilliance there, or in this instance, floating before you come a kite.
Yep.
Yeah, one of our famous almost winningest driver in the sport behind Dave Villwalk used to make the comment that when the boat got up in the air like that, you're spamming a can.
Yep.
And that was our friend Mr. Hanauer who used to say that. And you're getting a look at the boat here now, and it looks really bad. But I had a conversation with Dave last night at the hotel, and his comment was, if we were in a national high points chase right now and we had a slim lead and we needed to go out and get some points tomorrow, he said, trust me, that boat would be on the water. He's a competitor. He has done exactly that before. Everything we were looking at there was pretty much above the waterline. And as Dave said, yeah, and it's on the left side. So it's on the side that's going to get a little bit more protected and not be banged on as much as the right side might. So, yeah, Dave's already figuring out how he's going to make it. And he was telling me last night how he's going to make it better.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Of course, if you've got an opportunity to get inside the boat, and he told me a couple of things he wanted to do. I will say, as a follow-up, I saw him this morning at breakfast, and I said, how are you feeling? He goes, I'm a little stiff.
Sure.
Yeah, I would think so.
And yeah, we were hanging out with him in the pits yesterday, and we always say nobody sets up a boat quite like Dave. And he was already in there with the team on the boat, on the sponsons, assessing all of the damage and coming up with a game plan right away. And I believe that they are going to take it in town here to Charlie Wiggins' shop to try and get that ready for Madison.
And you had an opportunity to actually catch up with him and have a discussion with him. And I think we've got that interview on camera. So let's see if we can cue up that interview with Erica Allreed catching up with our Dave Villwalk.
Corey, an eventful Heat 1 to say the least. What's your thoughts and analysis on the situation that happened?
Well, it just looked like Dave hit some side rollers and it popped him up and he came unhooked. And, you know, when that happens, there's nothing you can do. And he's just along for the ride. He went through everyone's rooster tail. And unfortunately, when he came down, the back end of the boat caught the water and the spray hit me and ripped the whole front of our boat apart. So it's unfortunate, but that's racing.
It is unfortunate, but fortunately you didn't get hit by the boat. But again, you did say you got stuck in the wash. So where is the boat at currently? Because we thought we heard from your team you'll be running out there today, but just except not with the canard.
Yeah, we're gonna run. We're gonna finish. We're gonna go get our points for the rest of the weekend. There's no canard on the boat. The air trap on the left side was completely ripped off, so we have a huge aluminum plate covering that up. So we can't. There's no way to bolt the canard on that side of the boat. So we're just going to go out, we're going to run, collect points so we can get points for the National High Point and go from there.
Well, we're glad to see you're okay and look forward to seeing you and the team back out there.
All right, thank you.
Well, that turned out not to be a conversation with Dave, but it was a conversation with Corey Peabody
I thought
about
he was 71 years old. I was like, that's the youngest 71-year-old I've ever seen.
That's a good-looking dude right there.
I mean, we did say he probably aged in that mishap, but I don't know that much.
I think I'm going to get into boat racing if that's what happens.
Oh gosh! So yeah, that was pretty good. And Corey was talking about his side of the incident. He had his own issues in that particular heat. He got messed up on the timing. I never really got the full story, but as the boats were setting up to come down for the score-up buoy here at 1:15 at the start-finish line, all of a sudden Corey's boat went dead in the water up at the top end of the race course, and he was inside of Andrew Tate, and I think that's really where he wanted to be. They weren't really thinking too much about Dave at that point, and he had himself inside Andrew. I think that's maybe where he was keying, but then he went down up there, and that shoved him all the way to the outside and kind of put him behind the 8-ball. So what he's talking there, he was on the far outside. Yeah, he was the last one to see Dave come through.
Yeah, he definitely wasn't happy to be in that spot on the start, but I mean, it's one of those things. If he would have been 3/4 of a second ahead of that, he would have had the boat not pass in front of him, but right through him. So I mean, it's a hairy moment. It just really is, and so it's unfortunate that just being on the outside in the wrong place at the wrong time, he's basically lost his chance of winning this cup today. But he's able to get some points with 4 or 5 boats on the water. He still can possibly podium. He still has some aerodynamic control with that secondary canard, and hopefully we'll be able to go out there and do some laps.
Yeah, that's certainly the hope. We're looking at the water, and I don't want to start to think that maybe it looks a little bit better, but maybe it does. Again, I keep telling people.
A Journey song in the background.
That's right.
It's got to be a good omen.
That's right. I keep telling people I was in sales my whole career, so I'm the eternal optimist on anything. We're going to get something on the water. But the other thing I just wanted to talk a little bit about was I don't know, for lack of a better term, maybe the wow factor of the incident itself. I know I was talking to fans here on the beach afterwards, and after we knew Dave was okay, because that's the first comment, right? And you said that was the first question that you, Erica, asked him, and of course you do. Gotta ask, how are you? And so you go through all of that, but when it finally settles down, I've been watching these boat races for more years than I'm going to admit to, and I don't know that I've ever seen anything quite as spectacular to what you and I had that view of yesterday afternoon. That was something.
It's my second day at the track, so I just thought it was a normal Saturday. But it's like, nope. I mean, when you watch the slow-mo, he almost recovers it, and then he gets the rooster tail. And if you watch the deceleration, it's like he hits a wall. I mean, he goes from 160 to like 100 instantly, and then through a second rooster tail, and then just happened to just barely touch the water in front of Corey, ruins Corey's weekend, of course.
Amazing?
I mean, it's just the spectacular nature is also so finessey and fine-lined and balancy because you are just kind of hovering and floating at this crazy speed. I don't know. It's amazing to watch the footage. It's very cool now to have a drone that goes 100 miles an hour that can catch that footage. But yeah, hopefully that's just a replay for the rest of the season. You don't keep getting that every single weekend, and then it's not my fault.
It is
and
not.
you see a checkered flag here soon.
Yeah.
But hey, Tanner, one other thing I was going to say about that is, in real time, boy, it felt really slow. Like he just hung there forever, and then he went over several rooster tails and then landed, and You know, I was worried about Dave, and whenever you land right side up, the slamming down, but because that boat pirouetted a little bit, it actually, he said it took off some of the speed, and he said, it was a soft landing. I was like, okay. But that's Dave for sure, yeah.
He actually went to the bottom of the lake. Like, you know, the lake was somewhere around 10 feet, and he had a little mud on those sponsons, but it's like, soft landing for him. Unfortunate record for Dave. I think he has the record now of blowing over.
I'm going to stick with soft landing and watching his strut, and I was like, okay, it's still Dave, so he's still good. Yeah.
And when he did make that comment that, oh no, it was a soft landing, you and I kind of both looked at each other like, are you sure?
Not what we saw, yeah.
And for those of you watching that are wondering what kind of a comment did Tanner just come with about a record, he actually is correct with that. He now has flipped a boat more than any other driver in the history of the sport. And a little piece of trivia, and don't give me the credit for this one, we all know where it comes from. He's right over there, the stat man. He has flipped the boat 9 times. He flipped it the first time in 1993 in Detroit, in a boat that was numbered the U-101.5, and that was in June. So he flipped it in June of 1993, the 101.5. His 9th flip came in June, and the boat he almost hit, driven by Corey Peabody many years ago, was the U-101.5.
Oh, my gosh.
So there's a little bit of, and it only took Nick about a half an hour to come up with all this. The guy over there, he's got this stuff in his head. He's amazing.
And Corey was the 6-year-old on the side of the lake watching that.
It might have been.
Might have been.
Oh, jeez.
So moving on, we had another big story of the weekend. We had a 6th boat that was added to our list of participants, and we could talk until midnight tonight about the Miss Madison racing team and everything that went on with that camp this year, and it's a big story that we all followed during the off season. But at the end of the day, in March, I believe it was, word broke that the Miss Madison team was going to lease a boat from a guy by the name of Dave Bardish up in the Detroit metropolitan area. You're getting a look at the boat there on the water. It is the former T3 for those of you who follow these sorts of things. The boat last ran in 2012 as the Degree Men for Debbie Gregory. And so that's the boat. There's still some black on the bottom. In fact, I even think it still says Degree on the bottom. They came here with high hopes. They found an awful lot of stuff wrong in that boat, but they kept working and working and working, and they actually got the boat to fire on the trailer, and they dumped it in the water, and they hoped to get their new driver, Brandon Kennedy, qualified. That didn't happen. But, guys, I know we were talking about that a lot, and what that team went through, I'll start with you because you've spent a lot of time pulling teams together and working all-nighters to do something like that.
Yes.
They came here with high hopes. I don't think they're really going home disappointed, but I know they had hoped for more than this.
No, they're veterans in this, and they totally understand. And I know there was definitely a wish to get out here and do it on the South's fastest water because these corners are amazing. You really can keep your boat speed up and not have to push the equipment very hard. And so, yeah, maybe some disappointment about not doing it here, but they're already thinking about, hey, how do I get to do it in Madison in front of all of their fans? And they had so much enthusiasm and support on the dock side and on the comm side. You know, it was just you could feel it building, and I just we'll be all cheering and dancing when they make it happen.
And Erica, I know you were over there in the pit area when they lifted it off the trailer and stuck it in the water. I'm told that every race team was lined up to watch them.
Absolutely, and even when they trailer fired, you should have heard all of the claps and praises from that team. It was actually so special to see all of the competitors support that moment over there. They were able to get it in the water before some weather rolled in, but the silver lining of all of this is they worked out all of the kinks right now, and hopefully we can see him run that Miss Madison in Madison, Indiana.
Yep. Tanner, I have to think you could speak to something like that in other forms of motorsports. You work so hard to get something on the track and make it run, you just kind of ran out of time. They only had about 8 or 9 weeks to do this.
Well, for sure. I mean, and it sounds like they had a great plan because to qualify, they have to do, 15 or 20 laps 15 laps over 130 miles an hour. This is the fastest track on the circuit, which was before the Madison race. So they had the opportunity to sort of get an easy qualifying run. Madison has tighter corners. I don't know what the average speed is there at full tilt, but it's probably closer to being down, close to 130 miles an hour. So now it's going to make it a real challenge for them there. It ups the level of challenge, but something that's quoted in motorsport all the time is that it's a Mike Tyson quote that everybody has a plan until they get punched in the face. So I'm sure, you start with a good plan, and now they just have to adapt.
That's right.
And I know they'll pull themselves up by the bootstraps. They will put on a good show in Madison, Indiana. But before we go any further with that, you had an opportunity to catch up with numerous, I believe you caught up with 3 members of the Miss Madison racing team, to include Brandon Kennedy, correct?
Yes. Yeah, and Brandon was in a little bit of a rush because he had to go work on his boat. But, I hope everyone enjoys the time with them. We really got to dig in and hear from Brandon, hear from Kyle Bipes, and then Tony as well, and I think it'll be a good interview for sure.
Courtesy of Brent Hall, let's meet some of the newest members and important people behind Miss Madison Racing and the new U6 Miss Madison.
Okay, I'm here with the Miss Madison Racing team. I'm Brent Hall, and I'm going to go through one by one. I'm going to talk to Brandon Kennedy here in a minute. He's the driver. Brandon, I know a lot of build-up to get to this day. Not exactly what you wanted, but what'd you learn?
I learned how this team works. I mean, they worked tirelessly yesterday, today. I mean, we busted butt on that boat to get it out there. We really weren't even going to come to Guntersville when we first put this deal together, so even though we had a little bad luck today, it didn't happen in the city of Madison, and we'll get it sorted for there. As far as driving, I only got down this long straightaway to get to the race course and then around turn 2, but it's definitely different than a Grand Prix. They have a float to them, and you don't really feel the speed as much because you got a lot of boat around you, but as soon as you'll put it in the corner, I'm sure I'll notice there's a lot more G-forces. Steering seemed pretty good, so all that boat setup-wise, we're good to go.
Yeah, no, and you just know you have a ton of fans just waiting for you. We were all cheering yesterday, we're all cheering today, and we'll continue to cheer because you're going to get out in there and do it. So we know you've got a place to go. I'm going to talk to the rest of your team members, but man, thank you. Appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
All right, you bet. All right, so I'm stepping over to Mr. Kyle Bipes. How you doing, buddy?
Good, Brent. How are you?
Good, good. So Kyle, just talk us through building this team and pulling things together. Quite a story.
Yeah, so about 3 months ago, we had nothing. We didn't have a wrench in the shop, nothing. Myself and the board worked all day and night trying to figure something out. We got a hold of Dave Bardish up in Detroit, got a boat down here, spent 3 months, again, with no wrenches, and got down here to Guntersville, and we're one little thing away from being out there and running this weekend. This crew's fantastic. They worked extremely hard. Trey Holt's fantastic, super knowledgeable. It was a great weekend. We learned a lot. Some things we didn't necessarily want to learn, but we did learn this weekend, and it's only going to be a good season from here on out.
Oh, I love that. And I love what you all are doing on Facebook. You're really driving the story and telling everyone what's going on. Chasing Tails is another amazing thing, so please keep that up. I think that really helps the fans stay engaged, and whether we have some challenges, we get through it.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Love it. Thank you, Kyle. All right, so next, yay, Tony Steinhardt here. Long time boat racing. You've been involved for a long time, and I know you're on the board of Miss Madison. Maybe talk to us about just some of the changes that have happened over the year.
Yeah, it's sort of, in Madison, Indiana, we've had the longest continuous unlimited hydroplane in the world. Yeah. Community owned. Yeah. It is community owned and has been since 1961. It was sort of like the Indianapolis Colts leaving Baltimore, I think. Our citizens woke up one morning and their boat was sold. And we had such outpouring over the holiday season that the mayor and the board looked at each other and said, we've got to do this. We've got to continue the tradition. And it wouldn't have been possible without our members that we've been selling, our memberships, great community support, and we have some wonderful sponsors in John Goodman and Goodman Realty who called us first, and then we were able to raise money locally from our sponsors, Royer, Colonial Flowers, I'm going to get them all wrong. Now, okay. I got to remember. I'm going to look. Yep. They are on the website. Commonwealth Engineering, JTL Prime, and our Friction Wrap Company. So we're really excited about that, and it was just easy for us to go ask. Matter of fact, most of the sponsors and members just came on without even being asked. So the town is certainly behind us. We're behind the tradition, and the board's going to do everything we can to keep the boat on the water. And we'll just keep writing a new chapter.
Yeah, we were teasing about Miss Madison movie 2025. Oh, yeah? I really feel like that's happening, and what a great story. The support of the town, the sponsors, you, the team.
I grew up living that.
Yep.
My dad was the crew chief in '71. He had to put that boat together, and And, I sort of laugh a little bit. Yeah, I said today, it floats.
Yes.
It's a line from the movie, and that's step one, right?
That's right.
And so we have learned a lot. The crew's done a great job, and we'll be ready for Madison and give the citizens of Madison at least one last time to see the boat on the water, if not more.
Yeah. No, I think it's going to be a lot more. This is a great story, and it continues to build. Brent Hall with H1. I'll turn it back to you.
Another great job. That had to be a great conversation talking to those guys. Nicely done, young man.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, and just an emotional story. It's like history repeating itself in the Madison movie. I teased him a little bit about Madison 2025, but I think it's true. Just keep watching that story. That's going to be a great one.
And he talked about the Indianapolis Colts, and anybody that's had a sports franchise ripped out from underneath you knows what that can feel like. Those of us from the Northwest,
Don't you dare
we
say
know
Sonics.
way too well how that can feel. And it's a perfect analogy, though, because that's what this town has, from a sports standpoint outside of their local sports. They've had this boat, and they've had it since 1961. And all of a sudden, like he said, it was perfectly put. You wake up one morning, it's gone. And you can't do anything about it. Anything. Yeah. So, I don't know. It was a great job. It was a very good story. And I think the point is everybody here, certainly fans across the country, and certainly the four of us and all of H1 Unlimited, there's a soft spot in our heart for Miss Madison Racing this year. He'll get it out. He'll get it qualified. And I hope we're all sitting there in Madison. It'll make it fun if it happens on the Ohio River in front of the hometown fans.
It will. Yeah, absolutely. And although not the way they ideally drew up this effort here this weekend, that's going to make that moment that much sweeter in Madison.
If he can get qualified on Friday, let's just be optimistic.
Yep.
If he can get qualified on Friday just before the parade through Main Street, and if you haven't seen the parade, you haven't lived yet. This is small town USA, and it is a big deal. He will be on the deck of that boat, and they'll pull him right down Main Street. That would be fun.
That's awesome.
So that's our story from the pit area on the Miss Madison. And, gee, I was hoping that I could look up and say, wow, I'm looking at flat calm, but I'm not seeing that right now. We've still got wind blowing. I was just told a couple of things in my ear. Our gusts now are up to 15 miles an hour, so that's not working in the right direction. I think we had 10, 12, 13 before we got started. And the direction apparently is shifting just a little bit. So we're monitoring this situation, and I can tell you from where I'm sitting, I can see 3 H1 Unlimited officials that are standing in front of our tower looking at the water, and they are standing there with the chairman of the board of H1 Unlimited. I can assure you, if there is any way we can get this thing done or get some boats on the water, we want to put on a show, because at the end of the day, that's what it all is. It's all about a show on the water.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there are some amazing things for the fans that are here to enjoy and experience, but that's why everybody's here, to see an amazing race on the water.
Any closing comments before we throw it back to the truck? You want to just do some Hail Marys here or whatever we can do? We want to get some boats out.
Yeah, Don't Stop Believing, come on again. Yeah. Let's see here.
That's a great song.
We should go cue that up one more time. Brent, we're going to have some fun. I keep saying it. And Tanner, you're going to really like this if you ever get a chance to see it. And it's coming.
I'm ready.
And I'm hoping it comes this afternoon. So for Tanner Faust, Brent Hall, Erica Allreed down at the end of the desk, this is Brad Luce saying we're going to send it back to the truck, but don't go away. I have received some information here from the officials. I haven't yet read it, but it has to do with if this wind will cooperate, kind of what the plan is moving forward. As soon as we have some tangible information, we will pass it along immediately. Keep an eye on the ticker on the bottom of the screen, because the stat man's up there letting you know everything that's going on here. For the four of us, we'll send it back to the truck. Thanks for watching.
H1 Unlimited Hydroplanes.
The world's fastest race boats.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3,